Hi everyone, I'm Micheline from Americana Long Arm Quilting. We do custom quilting and long arming, and you can find a link to our website in the description below. I hope you'll take a moment and go look at our website, check out our things that we have on there. I'd also really appreciate it if you'd like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That helps our channel to grow. Okay. Earlier this summer, Savannah and I went to the Paducah Quilt Show. We had a blast. It was so much fun. It was great mother and daughter time, and I will treasure that always. We picked up a little layer cake. This is Cottage Grove Fabric Wonders, designed by AGF Studios. But I don't think this is the way they had curated this line of fabric, because all I've got here are lights. There are a couple of mediums. I think that could be maybe considered a medium. Maybe that one, certainly that one. That's it. That's all the mediums I've got. The rest are all lights, and they are cute. It's vegetables and little critters. It's very fun. And I think they put them together like this because they had probably used several layer cakes making a quilt and used all the darks and mediums. And this is what was left, the lights. How often have we done that? We're putting it together and the lights just don't show up against the background that we've chosen, so we don't end up using the lights. So we're going to solve that today. While we were in Paducah, right across the street from that great big tent that they had put up, there was a little quilt shop, and it was in a little old building, and they had some great prices. It was a fun place to go and look through. And I got all of these sage colored fabrics to go with this line. Fun stuff. And that's what I'm going to use as my background so that all of this shows up. And we are going to make some stars. Okay, so they're going to be wonky-legged stars like this. And I think that's going to be really fun. And they're going to show up really well against these green colors. So let's get to sewing. Pardon the interruption. Hang on one second. Eleanor's a little noisy. I just wanted to break up the video a bit and tell you it's really important that you stay all the way through this video, because I make a personal announcement that's really exciting and I don't want you to miss that. And this project doesn't go as planned. And a lot of us, me included, would go, I'm just going to set that to the side. I don't want to deal with it. It's not doing what I want it to do. And I could have done that, but I wanted to show you how I got through those issues. So stay tuned through the whole video. All right, get back to watching it now. So I wanted to take just a minute before we get onto the sewing. I've done all my cutting, and I've got quite a bit of fabric left over out of that layer cake, so I might be able to hypo it. So I might be able to make another little quilt to go along with this one. Won't that be fun? So I've cut 3 different sizes of star blocks, okay? So we're going to have one that's about 13 inches, one that's about 9 inches, and one that's about 6 inches, okay? And again, all of these cuts will be in a downloadable PDF on our website. I've had to use a couple of different color greens, but I've got all the backgrounds cut. I've also chosen, where you see white in this one, I'm also going to do this sage green, so it just looks like just the star is popping out amidst all of this green. And then I've got all these background pieces cut in odd different sizes, because if I'm putting 3 different size stars together, you know there's going to be some manipulation of sizes of fabric. So I've got all of those cut. Again, all of those cuts are going to be in that PDF on our website, so don't think that you need to write anything down, okay? All right, now let's get to sewing. Okay, so I've got my preliminary pieces laid out. I've got my centerpiece, which is directional. They got little vegetables, have little faces. So he's directional. Got my 4 corner pieces, and then these are the pieces that we're going to make the wonky, this, like the foundation of the wonky stars. So I'm going to put him here. Now, my fabric that I'm going to be making these wonky stars out do happen to be directional. So I've got some oversized pieces here, and I just kind of rough cut them. And I'm just going to make sure that when I put them on here, that they are going to end up being directional. Okay, so I'm going to do it like this. Okay, so I like where that one is. I think I'm just going to go ahead and put a little press in him, so I'll be able to see where I want to put him. Okay, and I think we'll put that one right there. Okay, so now I've got a pressed line. I'm just going to bring it over here, put some glasses on so I can see. Oopsies, I'm throwing all kinds of things. There we go. And I'm going to sew in that line. In that pressed crease is where I'm sewing. And now I know that that is directional and it's going in the right direction. Let's just give that a little press. And then we're going to turn that back and give, well, before we turn that back, okay. You see on the back how this piece, which is going to be the, which is this piece on the front, see how it's not a good, it's not showing a rectangle. So we're going to trim that off. So what we're going to do is we're going to trim from this side, and I'm just going to do it with scissors because that's what I have on hand. Okay. Wish I weren't left-handed right about now. So I'm just going to trim straight even with this green piece. Okay. Now I can turn this one up and reduce the bulk by trimming that piece off like so, and then we have a rectangle. Okay, so that's how you do that. Now let's do the other side. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to find, and there's a little bit of waste doing it this way, but that is just the way it's going to be if I want this directional fabric to be where I want it. Okay, so I'm going to go like that. I'm going to again put that, put a line in it or a crease, see where I want that so that it's going to be wonky. Okay. And now I'm going to open it up and sew down that seam. There we go. Now, I think what I'm going to do, instead of trying to do that with my scissors, I know I've got another rotary cutter in here. Here we go. There we go. And I'm going to pull this little mat right over here. Get a straight ruler. There we go. And I'm just going to trim all these sides up so that it's nice and straight all the way around. There we go. There we go. And what I'm doing here too is I'm not only looking where is it straight there, but where is it straight here. Okay. And one more cut right here. Okay. There we go. And now I can pull back this piece right here. There we go. Put my 1/4 inch on my ruler on this 1/4 inch of my ruler on the seam. This is kind of a dull rotary cutter. There we go. Okay, and now that one is perfect. Okay, then let me show you where that's going in here. See? Now I'm going to do that 3 more times, and then we'll start laying this out all together. Okay, so I got all those cute little things done. It says watch me grow and water me and all that kind of stuff. Okay, very, very cute. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and start putting these together. Let me get this off my table. And we're going to put these 2 together first, like so. And now they're going together like a 9 patch. That's all it is. Nice 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to leave that attached. I'm going to do this next one. Okay. One more down here. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to add the next row to it. I'm just going to leave these attached. I'm going to open these up like so. Set that up there like that. Okay, I'm going to take this one now and I'm going to come over here like this. Okay. Sewing them like this helps ensure that you're not going to get anything turned around. Okay. There we go. Make sure I don't turn over my seams. And this last one goes here. All right. Now I want all my pressing to go away from the flying geese. Okay. So I'm going to take this over here. And this first one, I'm going to press away from the flying geese, okay, to the outside. I'm going to move that up a little bit. And this one, I'm going to press towards the middle. Okay. It's a little bit hard to do this sometime when they're all connected, but this is a big enough block. I think we'll get it done. Okay, now I've got to get the last one up here. Just move that iron out of the way. And again, this one's going towards the outside or away from the flying geese. Okay. Now all we have to do is put that together like so. Get my iron down here again. And put these together. And those intersections are going to nest just perfectly. My leader back in there. Take a few anchoring stitches, make sure that that intersection is nicely nested. Now I'm going to do this one. That looks good. Okay. And then we get this last one done. Okay. Now I'm going to spin that around and do the other one. Like this. Okay. Do those few stitches. Make sure that's nesting properly. Here we go again. Hold down those seams so they don't flip over as you come to them. and get this last one done. Okay. Now what we're going to do is give this a nice press, and it does not really matter which way you go. Let's go ahead and set our seams a little bit. Okay. And we'll just press it away from the center. Okay. Oh, this is so cute. You know, when you work with fun fabrics, it sure is. It sure does make for a fun sewing day, doesn't it? Okay. Press that open again. There we go. And there's our wonky star, and everything is right side up with that directional fabric. Now, I've got 3 different sizes. I've made all the others. I figured seeing it in a large size was going to be a little bit easier. So now let's get these placed up on the wall, and I'm going to show you how we're going to get them all together. All right, got it on the wall. It's all done. See you later. All right, just kidding. Looks kind of wild, doesn't it? Okay, so I got all my star blocks done. You can see there are 3 different sizes. There's the teeny ones, the medium ones, and then the large ones. And I've got them dispersed within the realm of where my quilt is going to be, where I want them to be. Look out, Willow. Look out, Willow. Go, go, go. Just going to knock some of those pieces down. Now, I was watching the other day Tracy from the Sewing Channel, and she called this type of quilting or piecing a gap quilt. And I thought that is a brilliant description of what's going on here, because you see all these gaps that we need to fill in. Now, what she did is she just put it up on the wall where she wanted it, and then started cutting random pieces and just adding and changing as she went on. I did mine on paper. Okay, but even having said I did mine on paper, I still have had to do a little bit of adjustment. So that's what all these other pieces are all throughout here, is those are the pieces that are going to fill those gaps. So, and they're going to come together in squares. So there are going to be no Y seams or funky seams like that. So let's get started with this. So these are going to fill in right here. Okay, like so. Let's see, I think this one goes right here. And of course, it's going to look funny as I'm doing it now because they've got their seam allowances still in them. So that one's going to go here. This one here. This one here. Okay. Now, I think this goes there, I think. And I think that one goes there. Okay. Now, this is coming together pretty quickly, isn't it? Okay, this one's going to go here and here. And, let's see, I think this one goes here. Yeah. And I believe this one goes here. This one must go there. Doesn't seem like that's right, but we're going to say it is. There. Maybe that's supposed to go there. Well, okay, we're going to say he goes there, and this one goes there. Okay? So, that's what it's going to look like in a while. Let's start by looking at where we can sew squares together. So we can take this one here and sew it to the bottom of him, and then sew this one to the side. That makes a square. The same with these 4. We can sew that together, that becomes a square. So this one to this one, it becomes a rectangle. At which point you can sew that to it. But first you sew this to this one. These 4 become a square. These 3 become a square. These 4 become a square. Then you add this one to it. Then you put the middle together, and then you start putting it in rows. So it is truly gap sewing, and I love that term. let's get started with some of these easy ones. Let's start with this. We're just going to take these over to the machine and sew them and bring them right back. Okay, well, I got my larger blocks sewn together, and I'm realizing I've got some issues, okay? Things aren't going to come together in rows and squares or rectangles. So here are my issues. These, if I sewed these two together like that, and these two together like that, you can see there's a difference right here. The same with this. This one's, if I sew him together, then there's a big gap. Can't have big gaps. I have, now, honestly, what I could do is add another piece of fabric there. Well, I don't have any more of this fabric, so I'm going to have to do some finagling. Okay, so if I were to take off some of this, so it was the same length as that one, that would work, right? And then I've got this piece right in here that I can eliminate entirely and go to there. So that works. Those three then work. Then the problem is these two don't match that one. These two match together, but we've got this guy that's not matching. So we're going to have to add something to here. And I'm hoping that by taking off this entire piece and part of that, I might have enough to fill it in. Whoopsies. So this is just the fun you get when you're gap quilting. You better like puzzles if you're going to do this kind of piecing. It's really fun and it's enjoyable. But now I see why Tracy from the sewing channel was doing it. She was just taking big pieces and slapping it up there and then cutting it off. I was trying to do it this other way. I guess both ways will work. If I had had enough fabric, it would have worked. But that's the problem I've run into, is I'm out of this fabric. And although I've used some of another green within the stars themselves, I think that's okay. I just don't want a big strip of it. But we'll see if I can make this work. Brand new morning. I slept on it. My plan's going to work. I've sewn these two together. They equal 25 and a half. So now I've measured this one and I've measured this one, taken into consideration the seam allowances, and I know that I have to take off 1 inch of this piece right here. Easy peasy. I can sew those two together. All right. Now this one over here, I've measured these two pieces, and I realized that if I just take this piece, this entire piece that I sewed on there off, it's the right measurement together. So I'm going to have to unpiece that, and that's fine. This piece, then I'll sew those 3 sections together. Okay. Then I'm going to sew these 2 sections together, and I'll take this piece, which is 2.5 inches wide, which is what I'm going to need to make these 2 pieces equal this. And I'm going to take a bunch of scraps that I have. I mean, they're scraps. This is going to be truly poverty piecing. And if I still don't have enough to make it across these 2 pieces when sewn together, then I'll add in a little bit more of this color right here. Nobody's going to know. Nobody's going to know. It's going to be fine. All right. Well, let me get started. Again, cutting 1 inch off there, taking this off, sewing all that together. All righty. Here we go. Okay, so I need roughly 27 and a half inches to go across the top of this. All right, this is what I've got. So we're going to start with this big piece. Thought I'd take you along on my little poverty piecing journey here. And while we do that, I'm going to tell you a story. I you may have noticed that this is going to be a baby quilt. Why am I making a baby quilt, you ask? Because I'm going to be a grandma. I'm so excited. Savannah and Matt are going to be having their first baby in December. It is a little girl. I'm super excited. She won't tell me the name. Comment if you think she should tell me the name. I'm going to get her in trouble. Comment too, and tell her congratulations and tell her where you're commenting from, so she knows that she's got well wishes from all around the world. That'd be really fun. That'd make my day. She is, like I said, due in December, and we're just all super, super excited about it. This is just one of the most fun things ever. So I'm really excited. And my grandmother name, because we all get to pick what we're going to be called, is going to be Gammy, like Betty White in The Proposal, Gammy. Now, Savannah says that I have to learn how to do the dance from The Proposal. I don't know that I'll be able to learn to do that dance, and of course it's Betty White doesn't do the funny part of the dance. But anyway, if you haven't seen that movie, you should definitely watch it. It's really, really a cute movie. So anyway, I'm going to be a grandma, and I'm very excited about it. And that's what this quilt is all about. We did pick up this piece of fabric, this little line of fabric in Paducah when Savannah and I went. So had the intention of making it, into this quilt, and that's what we're going to do. So right now we're just piecing. I'm using a scant 1/4 inch. Okay, so far we've got that much. That is not going to work. You see, it looks funny on the end there. So we have got a little bit more. Oh, I found another piece. I'll put that one on there. So it looks to be like we're about 4.5 inches short. So let's put this one on. That still will not make it long enough, but make it a little bit longer. So I can do one of two things. I can piece all these little, ooh, I've got another piece. Hang on. Do I have any more? Okay, the rest of them are little 1-inch pieces, but I might be able to piece them together horizontally and then put them on there. Let's see how much we need now. I'm just going to be kind of guesstimating a little bit. Looks like I only need a couple of inches. That's all I need. So my options are go ahead and sew one of these onto the end. That's what's in the quilt. Or I can sew several of these together and make one piece that's long enough. Let's see what that looks like. I just think it'll be a little bit too piecey. But again, from a distance, I don't think that it'll really matter. Tiny, tiny, tiny little pieces. The quintessential poverty piece, right? You do what you have to do. Ooh, I'm so quiet. Okay. And let's see if by putting on one more piece, if that could make the difference. And you know what I could do too? I could take these two pieces here and put them back on. That one's got a line in it. Let's see if just doing this one would give me enough to get past that. Okay. think that'll be okay. Let's sew this onto here, and then we'll go do some pressing. And then we'll trim it all into one 2.5 inch strip, and we'll add it on. We'll get this one added. Okay, let me go press all my poverty piecing and get this added to this last piece. So I've got it. Get my chair pulled up here. It's stuck on something. I've got it all pieced, and I think that looks pretty good. Look at all those seams. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, let's get it on. Make sure I'm putting it on the top. And I am. Okay. The dogs are chewing on stuff. Puppies. Got all kind. Gonna have all kinds of little babies around here, aren't I? In case you hadn't gathered yet, this is going to be my first grandbaby. So we're really excited. Everybody in the family is just really silly with excitement. Okay, I got it. Got it on there. Now I'm just going to go press that. I've got a little bit to cut off of that end, and we'll get this last piece all sewn together, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Or then we'll put it on Eleanor, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, we're calling this Garden Wishes because you wish upon a star, and having my first grandbaby on the way is truly a wish come true. We're so excited. Please comment and tell Savannah, our editor-in-chief, where you're watching from, and wish her well. I think that'll be a whole lot of fun. I hope this quilt showed you that when adversity strikes, persevere. It's so easy to just get frustrated. That was my toe you just stepped on. It's so easy to get frustrated and just set it to the side. And once you've set it to the side, then it sits there and sits there and sits there. And finally, it just never gets used. So don't let it beat you. Figure out a way to get it done. Go sleep on it. That's what I did. I got it to a certain point, and then I was frustrated, and I just said, okay, I'm gonna sleep on it. Came back this morning, got it done. And I think it turned out fabulous. You know, I completely ran out of fabric. I was just down to itty bitty scraps. But I don't think you can see them. I think that's going to look just fine. It ended up being, let's see, I think 40 inches long by 41 wide. I had a whole lot of that pieces of the layer cake left over because, you know, I didn't make a lot of stars. What am I going to do with them? Well, what do you think I did with them? I put them on the back, of course. Isn't this cute? Now, I also quilted it with a pattern called Rubber Duckies. Look at those little ducks. Aren't they just adorable? So much fun. Got dogs behind me playing. All right, let me put this back up on the wall. There we go. Okay. Listen, please like, share, and subscribe. Do all the things that make the algorithm sing. And until next time, stay quilting. Bye.